You're welcome to the Economy and Politics Show. I'm Ottoabasi, Abasiekong. This edition will discuss how the fintech industry can serve as a catalyst for economic inclusion in Nigeria. On the sidelines of the just concluded 2023 Nigeria Fintech Week, I engaged the Chief Operating Officer, Fintech Association of Nigeria, Dr. Babatunde Obrimah, on the developments around the industry. I first asked him about the theme of the conference, Fintech Resilience, Innovation and Diversification, and how it relates to a viable fintech industry in Nigeria.
Resilience is really important, and there's really no fintech, even the successful ones, that have not had their ups and downs. But it's been when you're resilient that you can survive and stay this long. If you notice, we have the Hall of Fame. There are fintechs or people founders who have been here for over 15 years. And what will constitute resilience? Things like governance, structure, risk management, compliance. These are things that are embedded in resilience. But then resilience is not enough. I mean, with that, it's important. We've seen that a couple of fintechs have had issues. Some have even closed down. And when you look at some of the issues, some of them boil down to governance issues, so which speaks to resilience. But then resilience is not enough. You need to layer it with innovation, and not innovation for the sake of innovating. It's innovation for solving real problems. That's what keeps you going. Because if you don't innovate, you'll be extinct.
The right talent is required for the fintech industry to scale and support the economy. This is what Dr. Obrimah had to say about talent and competitiveness.
The issue of talent is, there are two faces to it. I mean, interjecting, we have what we call the DigiQuip series. We started with the DigiStuds for students, where we've trained over 400 students in public universities. We have DigiCorp, so we want to start training youth corps members. What we take them to web design, graphic design, Python language, data analytics, UX, CX. And then we have DigiSkills, which is targeted at other associations, individuals, corporate entities who want to upskill their staff. Together with FSI and CIBN, we've signed an MOU to start fintech certification in Nigeria. But going beyond that is that how do we start to talk to them at state level to start to incorporate things like coding into primary school and secondary school curriculum? Kenya has done that. We need to start laying that foundation, because if we keep intervening in the middle, we're not building a solid foundation. We're just like putting a roof on a house that it has a weak foundation or no foundation. So we can't do that. We need to start looking at how we're going to intervene at that lower level, that the kids start to have a sense of technology, because technology is going to change things. So you saw the agri tech session. Technology is what's going to change everything. So we need to start to grow catch them young, as they say.
Fintech must now move beyond payment solutions and begin to become a catalyst for transformation for the economy. What should we expect going forward from the industry?
For us, we want to encourage people to look at solutions along the value chains of all these verticals. Because really, nobody pays for payments. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I want to pay Flutterwave for what? I want to pay InterSwitch. You are paying for food, for shelter, for health, for education, for transport. So how do we grow those verticals? Because as those verticals grow, they layer on the existing payment infrastructure, and of course, digital platforms will also grow because those verticals are growing. So it's important that we grow those. And it's as we grow those verticals, really, that some of the economic challenges we have will be solved. We're talking about effort. We can't feed ourselves. We're importing food. Last year, over 2 trillion naira was spent on food importation. I mean, why do we need to do that? We have so much land. We can feed ourselves. How do we stop post-harvest losses and things like that? Look, if we can manage stop post-harvest losses, we can feed ourselves. I'm sure about that, But there's so much loss. That's why we need to keep importing, So I'm not sure we can deal with those issues. So verticals are extremely important. We encourage people to look at how we can solve problems within the value chain of all these verticals.
On the need to domesticate the 2022 Startup Act, the Chief Operating Officer of Fintech Association of Nigeria had an interesting perspective.
Really, the Startup Act is a national document, but each state, is supposed to also domesticate it. And I think that's where advocacy comes in. How do we get state governments to start looking at that Startup Act and start developing things that happen in the area? Interesting enough, last month we were at Kano for Digital Kano. which is really exciting. How do we start looking at? They wanted solutions that are specific to their own environment. That's what we need every state to do. Let's have a digital Oyo, a digital Borno, a digital Plateau, and let fintechs know what are the pain points and how do we bring solutions to those to those states.
Despite attracting over $1.5 billion into the country, a major concern is the challenges in the foreign exchange markets. How can the Fintech Nigeria Association address this?
Look, the fintech ecosystem can generate easily $10 billion if we are focused and if investors actually see the stability in the ecosystem. I mean, it's a challenging time. So when you look, the dollar last week or 2 weeks ago was 1,000 naira. Now it's 1,200. As an investor, it becomes challenging that how do I if I'm taking my money at what rate, what was the projections that you had? So I think those are challenging times, but even despite that, we still see investments coming. What is really critical is that if you have solutions that people need, investments will come. So that's what we encourage: solve real problems that people need, investment will come. So I don't think there will be a problem with investment as long as we keep solving real problems. So that's the encouragement to fintech. You can't stop innovating, but innovate to solve problems that people.
I asked Dr. Obrimah what the outlook for the fintech industry in Nigeria is beyond 2024.
Like we said, I will still go back to the verticals. We must eat, we must move around, we must have shelter, we must have medical care. So those are areas. How do we solve those problems? Make transfers. I mean, there's a fintech called Waxed Mobile in South Africa. They've already implemented biometric for bus service. So when you go on the bus, you just put your finger, and your account is debited, and you go on the bus. So how do we start to solve some of those problems? I mean, in Lagos today, you see a bus breaks down and there's fight over change. Do we have to go through that? If you can use technology, you can solve that problem. So we need to start solving those problems. I mean, and how do you make sure that the merchants get their money also real time, against either a T+1 or whatever you. So those are the issues that we need to solve. And I'm sure as we solve those issues, it will keep getting better.
Regulatory risk is a major headwind in Nigeria. I was curious to know how the fintech industry is navigating the headwinds.
I think that we have passed that stage where we see the regulators see the operators as what's called. What the regulators also want is that there must be understanding. You must see where the regulator is coming from also, and where the operator is coming. That's why the regulator forum is important, where we can all sit and discuss these issues, so that it's not us versus them. No, we're all working to grow the ecosystem together. The regulator should be able to tell us, look, from a helicopter view, this is what we see. So, and what we're saying that, fantastic, this is what you've seen. How do we mitigate it? Don't use those tools of suspend, freeze, and ban. No, let's find regulation around it so that it can grow.
It was an interesting conversation on how the fintech industry can serve as a catalyst for economic inclusion in Nigeria. And that was Dr. Babatunde Obrimah, Chief Operating Officer, Fintech Association of Nigeria. That will be all for this edition of the Economy and Politics Show. To our viewers, if you want to get further insights on the just concluded 2023 Fintech Week coverage, visit the ProShare website displayed on the screen. Also, you can follow the WebTV social media platforms to engage further on this show. To become your way again, enrich yourself with the knowledge of socio-economic developments around you, because it is a wise thing to do. I'm Ottoabasi, Abasiekong. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.